Hey, y'all. Oh, my God. What a night this has been already. Holy shit. Also, so many friends that I've gotten to see over the course of this evening. It's been really special. But, listen, I was beyond chuffed to be asked to induct my friends Tim and Karrie League into the Texas Hall of Fame. Those three tables right there. Like, over the last 15 years, they've grown to become dear friends, and they've seen me go from newly minted former Hobbit and regular Butt-Numathon patron to chain-smoking Fantastic Fest attendee to now clearly in my prime as a dashing salt-and-peppered family man with 2 kids. Thank you. And I've seen them go from 2 young entrepreneurs to bona fide cinema moguls with twin girls in their arms to now, where they have literally reached Hall of Fame status. But in all sincerity, it's really staggering to see the impact that they've had, not just on Austin and the many cities the Alamo Drafthouse have illuminated, but on the greater film community and the industry itself. Their work has reshaped the very way we experience movies. So the first time I visited the Alamo Drafthouse, it was at the original Colorado Street location. In the spring of 1998, it was also my first time to Austin, a trip that began a lifelong heart connection to this city. I was here working on the faculty with Robert. And if memory serves, I think Robert organized like a cast screening at the Alamo of Halloween. So it was my first time seeing Carpenter's I'd seen the movie many times, it's one of my favorites. It was my first time seeing that film on the big screen in glorious 35 millimeter. But what struck me, even more than the film itself, was the place. Somewhere between a movie theater, an attic, and a living room. You remember? Yeah, it was. It felt different. It felt like a clubhouse handmade for the sole purpose of celebrating cinema, unlike anything that I'd ever experienced. And of course, it was, because Tim and Karrie had literally built it themselves. Painting, hammering, assembling, programming, serving, and doing every single thing in between. Now, from that beloved location, they honed a vision of what a theater could be. A place that embraces both first-run studio films, independent and international gems, and the most obscure oddities dug from the archives. A place where you can pair dinner with a movie, where themed screenings create memories beyond the film itself, where you can experience Terror Tuesday, Weird Wednesday, live scores, director Q&As, or just a wild, outlandish idea that shouldn't work, but somehow does, because it's the Alamo. And if there's one thing to know about Tim, it's that he loves an idea. Nothing, they know. Nothing will stop him from making it happen. And so as Karrie herself has said, Tim will go to extraordinary lengths to make an event happen if he likes the idea, often without regard for the economics of time, energy, and money. And sometimes his own personal safety. Often his own personal safety. And while Karrie is also wildly adventurous and ambitious herself, she is the vital anchor to the endeavor that is Tim and Karrie Incorporated. Truly. The yin to Tim's super yang. It's the two of them together that create the magic, which explains so much, the sheer ambition of what they pulled off, from Fantastic Fest to Drafthouse Films, to the time they hauled a giant inflatable screen out to the middle of the desert so people could watch the good, the bad, and the ugly at the exact spot where it was filmed. I mean, that's the Rolling Roadshow. A mad, brilliant, completely impractical, but utterly unforgettable series of outdoor screenings in locations that make the films themselves feel even more alive. Watching Jaws while floating on an inner tube in a lake? That's the kind of magic that Tim and Karrie have made their lives out of delivering. So at its core, the Alamo Drafthouse has always stood for one fundamental belief, that the movie theater is a sacred space. It's a place where storytelling should be honored, where audiences should be fully immersed, free from distractions, disruptions, or, God forbid, an advertisement. From day one, Tim and Karrie committed to keeping the Alamo experience pure. No ads before the film, only lovingly curated pre-shows packed with oddities, deep cuts, and gems you'd never see anywhere else. And then, of course, there are the don't talk PSAs, which I believe, I just read this, that Tim, there was like some rowdy experience where I think there was like a Pabst Blue Ribbon special, and a bunch of people were talking during the movie and you were like, fuck that, that's never happening again. They're gonna respect. And I think you learn Final Cut and cut the first PSA, which is amazing. So legendary in their own right, delivering the message loud and clear, respect the movie, respect your fellow audience members. And if you can't manage that, well, you won't last long at the Alamo. The result, a theater experience that feels like a gift, one that reminds us why we fell in love with going to the movies in the first place. And then there's Fantastic Fest. Fucking amen. The largest genre film festival in the US, and one of the most immersive, welcoming, and unpretentious film festivals in the world. I'll never forget my first Fantastic Fest. I'd never before, attended a festival with no velvet ropes, no separation between filmmakers and attendees, where you can watch a movie by an auteur you've admired for years, or a wild debut feature, and then share a drink with that same filmmaker at the highball after. Like, that's an extraordinary thing. It's an event that fosters family and connection, a summer camp for cinephiles, where lifelong friendships and artistic collaborations are born. Now, in fact, I can say with zero hyperbole that Fantastic Fest have genuinely changed my life. It expanded my universe, introduced me to people who became friends who became colleagues. I mean, I wouldn't have a rubber chicken or a firecracker tattooed on my arm if it hadn't been for Tim and Karrie. Nor would I have likely banded together with Tim and fellow maniac Ant Timpson to produce Jim Hosking's feature debut, The Greasy Strangler. If you know, you know. The friendships and creative partnerships I've formed at Fantastic Fest aren't just connections, they're part of my DNA now. That's the magic of what Tim and Karrie have built. It's not just the best week of the year, it's a community. But what truly sets Tim and Karrie apart is how deeply personally they invest themselves. No matter how big their businesses became, no matter how much Fantastic Fest grew, they're always on the ground, right in the thick of it, experiencing everything alongside the rest of us. Tim, of course, subjects himself to any number of often painful shenanigans, whether it's wild eating contests, endurance challenges, or every single year stepping into the boxing ring for the fantastic debates. Karrie, on the other hand, has only ever missed one Fantastic Fest, I believe, and she had a pretty solid excuse because in 2011 she gave birth to their twin daughters, Cece and Opie, during the festival. And now let's talk about the impact that extends far beyond Austin. The ripples of their work, not only from the Alamo, but through ventures like Mondo, and now Mutant, thank you, which elevated the movie poster from marketing to art, inspiring even major studios to rethink their approach. And Drafthouse Films, and then Neon, which has not only championed bold independent cinema, but has actively reshaped the awards landscape. It started with Parasite, which made history as the first non-English language film to win Best Picture at the Academy Awards. And last week, they did it again with Anora, a truly independent film that took home 5 Oscars, with Sean Baker making history as the first individual to win 4 Oscars in all 4 major categories for a single film. That's never been done before. Listen, it's a testament to the kind of daring, boundary-pushing storytelling that Neon has nurtured, stories that aren't made with massive studio budgets, but with vision, passion, and the kind of creative spirit that Tim and Karrie have always championed. But beyond slapping contests, obscure Turkish films in the 70s, those slapping contests were nuts, man. Have you ever taken a shot of alcohol and slapped someone in the face and then had it returned? It's insane. And fried pickles that are truly unparalleled in their deliciousness. One of the finest things you can do in life is create true community. And Tim and Karrie League have done just that. They've built a space where people can have their horizons expanded, their viewpoints challenged, their funny bones tickled, their hearts warmed, all while connecting with others through the shared experience of what is unfolding in that sacred space, the theater. What began as a single theater with a very specific vision grew into something much bigger. But no matter how much their endeavors expand, at the heart of it all, it has always been about the people. The friendships forged over movies, the lifelong bonds created at Fantastic Fest, the filmmakers who got their start because they found a home in the world Tim and Karrie built. And that's a legacy that will last far beyond any Hall of Fame. I'm really tempted to say that Tim and Karrie are in a league of their own. Okay, but I know. Fuck, I had to have one pun, guys. Jesus. I'm a dad now. It goes with the territory. But instead, I'll just say, on behalf of everyone whose lives you've enriched, whose love for film you've deepened, and whose sense of community you've strengthened, we thank you, and your work really means something. So let's all raise our order cards to Tim and Karrie League. This distinction is truly deserved. Now, let's take a look at the clip.